Yeah, okay, that looks good. All right.
This is AK, I'm Mark, and this is the YMC.
Today, what's this one about?
Session 2 is the Alka Rim Show. Well, Session 2 gives us an opportunity to kind of dive into the digital space a little bit more and understand the different components, what we're going to be working with, the types of people we're going to be interacting with, and seeing how they all kind of connect in different production flows. And now that we have a project, where do you start? Develop strategy, understand content, start creating a lot of the IA, or information architecture, that is the blueprint for a lot of these projects.
We might want to get a little bit of the response, and then at the end, we really love it. Instead of pages and search for it. It makes it easier for...
What would you say this session is about?
The business side of the project and managing your relationships and stuff like that, as opposed to the technical side, I suppose, which we'll get into later weeks. You kind of want a 360 view of what it is that you're getting yourself into. And so I think in that respect, it's very smart that we're kind of looking at both sides of this.
This session, or this day, it's called Digital Cycle and Scope Recognition. So the main objectives of this class is really to understand what happens sort of behind the closed doors of these interactive agencies and these web development shops. What are important sort of steps in the cycle to go from sort of ideation to deployment of a website. And really, these things are broken down into these three main categories: strategy, management, and production. So strategy, it starts very early on at acquisition. And when I say acquisition, I mean client acquisition or customer acquisition. That's really where the strategy begins. So as a development shop, we need to be able to really pinpoint the type of clients that we're going after, and then find different areas or techniques and mediums to help find those clients. Acquisition was as easy as jumping on to Craigslist and looking at sort of the wanted ads. Craigslist was the only active sort of sales and client acquisition tool we used for about a year and a half. So just diving into management a little bit closer. The idea of management, again, comes down to a few key areas: schedules, costs, and resources. Resources are, of course, one of the most important things to any project, because these are the people that are going to be making things happen. Resources are the project managers, they're the designers, they're the developers, the copywriters, all sorts of content producers. So going into production a bit more, there's a couple of different ideas. The idea of waterfall versus agile are sort of the main production methodologies that shops take. So waterfall is a very linear way of producing websites or applications. So essentially, you start with strategy, and then strategy leads to requirements. Then requirements lead to design, and design leads to development, and development leads to testing, and testing leads to deployment. As you can see, it's kind of taking this waterfall approach to the production cycle. When it comes to laddering, you can ladder a little bit between the waterfalls and between each area, but really you're dependent on the previous step. You can't really jump into requirements until you've created your strategy. Now we'll look at Agile. The key learnings that I want to take away from Agile relative to this course is collaboration and iterative development. So let's take a look at how Agile looks. So essentially you go from requirements, and then you go to design, you go to development, testing, and then back to requirements. You're building this cycle, and it's not so much a waterfall as it is a cycle. So what you're building when you go Agile is you're constantly taking steps. And what each one of these blocks represents is a live site. So we're not waiting to get to the very end to launch the site, where we would be with waterfall, because you'd have to go through all these different stages, and at the very end you launch the site. With Agile, you're launching features every essentially 2 weeks. So one of the Agile methodologies is the idea of 2-week sprints. So you go through this cycle over a span of 2 weeks, and at the end of those 2 weeks, you deploy. you're kind of guessing. So when you're going waterfall, at the very top of the waterfall, you're guessing, this is what I'm going to build. And this is how I'm going to build it. And then you don't really see anything until the last week. Whereas here, you're constantly building and deploying so that if you did something wrong or you're going down the wrong path, you don't have to wait 6 to 8 weeks to realize you went down the wrong path. You can see right away on implementing that specific feature that, you know what, it didn't work. And then you can reprioritize. You didn't waste too much time. You didn't start building a lot of features on top of that feature because that feature doesn't work now. So that's sort of the benefit of Agile. There's collaboration tools, Basecamp being the one created by 37 Signals that's widely used, as well as Microsoft's Project Professional. These are applications that allow you to plan projects, that let you look at the things we were talking about before, schedules, costs and budgets, and resources. These tools are more like mind mapping, idea, diagram creation type tools, Microsoft Visio. You can create different diagrams if you're trying to explain how your database is going to work. You can build those diagrams in Visio. Glyphy, the same thing. It's like a web app version. You can also do sort of mind mapping exercises if you want to just kind of put all your thoughts in different bubbles all over a screen. These softwares allow you to do that. Prezi, PowerPoint, these things are obviously presentation tools.
I'm a sales guy for a corporate, sports marketing company. And I just really love sports, and I'm online all the time, listening to podcasts, reading about different facts, all that kind of stuff. I'm starting to get into tweeting it a little bit, and so I thought I'd want to create something that could house all of my super interesting opinions about the happenings in sports.
Would you say the YMC is sort of just filling your brain up already with stuff you could use to further your internet presence?
Yeah, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just it's kind of just getting a million different ideas at once. I don't really know what any of them mean. I don't know if any of them are good. I don't know if any of them are going to go anywhere. But just really, it's something my brain's never really thought about before. I've never really gone to that place, and this is really encouraging me to do that.
Ike and I have been working together for 3 or 4 years now, and we kind of branched off in terms of our responsibilities, right? He went more along the business development strategy, that kind of thing. I went focused more. Once we started working together, I went focused more on research and development and some of the programming there. So one of the other cool things about the YMC, at least from my perspective, is that I get to kind of hear all the new stuff that he's hit on over the past 6 months that we even had a chance to discuss, and how he's approaching things now. So it's always kind of fun for me to hear him go off and do his things on days like today.
I wouldn't be able to even stand up there and teach if I didn't have Mark in the audience cheering me on. It definitely means a lot to me when I look up and he has a thumbs up or a wink for me. And
It's family. It's all family here.
So next week is one of my favorite sessions. We're going to be looking at creative. How do you get from concept to execution? What does the creative process look like? And how do we take all that sort of research and content that we've talked about in this previous class and turn that into something that has life?